Boom.
Boom, boom.
3, 2, 1. Joe Rogan. Wait, no, copyright. All right, let's test it out here.
Test.
Oh, yeah, audio's good. All right, there it is. Oh, thumbnail looking good. That's a good looking thumbnail. I guess
There
I
it
will
is.
zoom in. All right, share. Copy link. All right, well, I guess I should say welcome everybody to PATCHESFLOWS number 1. Got Jarrod Ives here. Am I saying that right? How do you say your name?
It's actually just Ives.
Jarrod Ives.
That is it.
Boom. All right. Dude, I really appreciate you being here. I just sent you the link. I'm just going to paste the link, and then you'll have my undivided attention.
Cool.
It's the first. It's the first one. You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, right. We're figuring it out. Bada boom. Copy that link. I'm put it on Facebook myself.
Dude, it was worth it just for the thumbnail, bro.
Dude, yeah. Even if this thing crashes and burns,
Yeah.
at least we got the thumbnail.
All right. I've been streaming a lot of gaming and beatboxing, so to get the most out of my time, I'll game, but then I have the loop station run through it. It's actually on right now. Yeah, I just have it run through my audio.
I'm actually running through my loop station. That's like my audio interface.
Dude, hit me with an effect or something, man. I thought you might be.
I don't know. Where'd it go? I don't know.
Oh. That's so cool, man. So Jarrod Ives, man, my first podcast guest. I really appreciate it, man.
Dude,
Thank you so much.
I'm happy to be here. It's been a great day.
Heck yeah. So I remember you had posted on Facebook, and I don't remember everything you said, but you said something about, like, I just paid my rent through music. And it was just so, like, it just hit me, dude. It hit me right in my heart and my brain, because I know what it's like to work so hard for your dreams and to devote, like, more and more time to your dreams. And then all of a sudden, like, you know, you pay some bills with it. And it's just, like, such a big thing, man. And so that inspired me to call you. I didn't even think of a podcast or anything. And I called you, and we had, like, a 30-minute or an hour call. And partway through it, I was just like, dude, this should be a podcast. So I don't remember exactly what I said, but I'm probably just going to ask you some of those same questions. How long ago was that you first paid your rent with music?
Yeah, cool. That was right. My internet connection is unstable, it said.
Oh, unstable? That's all right. You know how the internet is.
Unstable. We're musicians. We're never stable.
Right?
But yeah, so basically, like, March 30th, I played this Led Zeppelin tribute show with a band that I've been working with for a couple months. And a buddy of mine, Cliff, had hit me up about playing drums for this tribute show. And I was like, yeah, dude, that sounds like fun. And, haven't really been paying a lot of bills or anything like that with music. It's more been like, kind of like, we're working to get this to a point where it can be our full-time job. But at this point in my life, it just hasn't been that yet. Totally. But over the month of March, I was super busy with gigs like every weekend or every other weekend. And it was just kind of getting me by. But that last show that I did, that Led Zeppelin tribute, and then literally the very next day I had one more show. It was just a birthday party with my buddy Peyton. And those two shows by themselves, like, paid me enough to where I was able to cover my rent for the next month. Just from those two shows. And that was kind of a breakthrough for me personally, because up until that point, it'd been like work, play a show. It's kind of those roles of, I guess you could say, reverse at this point.
Nice. So, I mean, I could, like, imagine, but how did that feel when you first realized that?
It felt amazing because, like I said, up until that point, I've been working so much, and that can kind of get in the way of your flow, your creative flow, and your motivation and drive to like push through and continue doing what you're doing. And at this point, it was just like, wait a second, like these two shows that I just played got me through the next month, the whole next month, and I
That's so
realized that
cool.
I wasn't having to work as much. Like I would wait tables on the side. It's like my side hustle or whatever, because music has been like my focus for a long time now. And I wouldn't get like a 9 to 5, a classic 9 to 5 job or anything like that, because most of them aren't cool with giving you the time off that you need, to play shows on a regular basis or even a random basis. And so I didn't work, but maybe like half the month of March. And between that and playing shows as much as I have been, yeah, I mean, it was like, okay, this is getting me somewhere. Like I'm achieving something in order to get me to the next step, and eventually, like, I won't have to have another job at all anymore. And that's a really exciting thought.
That's amazing. Yeah, and obviously it's still work to be a good musician. You got like rehearsals, you got practice, you got work when you're alone, you got work when you're with people. Even if you're a solo act, you got work with people to figure out performances and networking. I mean, it's clearly a worthwhile job. And man, I mean, obviously, like music affects me so much. So I do jewelry as well, and I'll be working on leather jewelry, and like I have to either have, or I like to either have a podcast or like an album on, and it makes it not torturous. It's like I'm like in the vibe. I mean, it's the best. How
uh,
long I just watched you for the first time drumming. You're really good, man. I like I said, I watched one of your band's videos. How long you been playing the drums?
Let me think here. Okay, so
Approximately.
about 14 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 26 now, and I started in May when I was 12 years old, and so I just hit that 14-year mark. And like that was like I learned my first couple of drum beats, and it like just kind of got so addictive. I just had so much fun, and I didn't really know anything about making music. Like I wasn't trained by any means. I was just a kid with a drum set that just wanted to play really.
Oh, we lost you. Oh, there you are.
Um,
I
uh,
got you were just a kid with a drum set.
yeah, and I just wanted to play really hard and really fast, and that was the only thing I
Nice.
cared about. Yeah, so it was like Metallica. I'm actually wearing a Metallica shirt, hilariously enough.
Nice.
They're the band that made me want to play music. Me and my dad, I'd be playing baseball or basketball or whatever, and I'd be on my way to a game, and my dad would he'd put on Metallica's and Justice for All and crank it up, and he had subs in the truck, and it was like blasting, and it just the energy made me feel so amazing and so hyped and ready to just destroy, whatever was coming in my path. And that was like when I thought to myself, I really like this. Like I want to play music, even though like I said, I didn't have any kind of training. I never took lessons or anything like that, or didn't study in school. It was all self-taught for the most part until my dad, he played back in the day, so he kind of showed me some stuff. But he was more like he wouldn't teach me, chops, and like you got to do this beat, you got to do this fill. It was like he would just kind of push me in the direction that I should go in and just give me some advice, along the way and let me kind of figure it out for myself.
Nice. Did he play drums too, or a different instrument, or multiple?
We both play multiple instruments. My dad was mainly a drummer, but he also played guitar and he played piano, and he was actually really good at piano. He would just learn some songs that we both liked, some AC/DC or Black Sabbath or anything like that, and he would learn some songs on guitar, and I would play drums along with him, and like I would like start speeding up or do some crazy fill that didn't really make sense, and he would like stop and like correct me and be like, "No, you can't do that." You got to keep the same tempo. It was stuff like that that really taught me the essence of being a drummer.
That's
As
awesome.
opposed, yeah, it wasn't just crazy chops I wanted. All my life, I thought, and that was it. And so like I just wanted to go fast and go hard and all this stuff, but I had to learn that that's not really what makes music what it is. And that wasn't what made the music that I liked what it was, even though it was like super fast and crazy. Like there was structure, and
It was tempered with other things as well. It's like the hardness of the metal, but then it's tempered with, skill and like an understanding when to use things. When
yeah.
did you start beatboxing?
I only started beatboxing like about 2 years ago.
Wow.
Maybe not even quite 2 years ago. Uh, well, I say that around 2016, I started picking up the acoustic guitar, and I wanted to learn more about songwriting. And so I got into some artists that were mainly acoustic, and they wrote very, very simple songs, just straight 4 chord progressions. And it was all about the lyrics, and it was all about the vibe. And that was kind of what I felt like I was missing in my creative process, was just like a simple foundation to build. And so there were artists like Nako, Medicine for the People, Trevor Hall, Mike Love.
Mike
Those were
Love. Ooh.
Yeah, those were 3 artists that I really dove into. And I saw some videos, and I noticed that like Mike Love was like beatboxing when he
Oh yeah.
played songs, and it just clicked in my brain. I was like, wait, I can do both of those. And so like I started messing around with it, and I was no good at all. I had no idea that beatboxing was where it is right now.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there was techniques and crazy tech patterns and like all kinds of stuff. I was just going, and I was playing guitar, and that was it. And it was about 2 years ago, a little less, that I discovered Swiss beatbox, and that just changed my life. Like I was watching videos every day, and at first it was just an interest. It was like, oh, this is really cool. This is different. It's exciting. And then I realized a couple weeks into it that I had been watching beatbox videos every day, and I was finding new people, and I found a new inspiration. It was different. It was like I like electronic music. I like hip hop, but it hasn't usually ever been the kind of music that like drives me. I've been more of an instrumentalist, and I've been more into the live performance type of thing as opposed to the production side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so beatboxing kind of bridged that gap. Like it gave me a new understanding of like how innovative electronic music is in general, because you hear all these crazy sounds that all these people do, and then you hear humans like recreating these sounds and even creating their own sounds all from their voice, all from their mouth. And I just felt like that was like kind of a breakthrough. And that was before I even saw how the
Hey,
human
one
voice is
second. Before
evolving,
you even
and
saw what?
and how beatboxing is like first.
Say that again. Before you even saw what? It cut out.
Are you losing? Oh, okay, sorry. Before I even saw Reeks One's videos about how the human voice is evolving, and how beatboxing could be directly associated with that, and so it was just like it just made sense to me. So I decided to just get completely into it and practice and practice, and here I am.
That is so cool, man. Yeah. First of all, that's crazy that you started because of Mike Love, dude. If anyone out there is watching this and they haven't heard Mike Love's song "Permanent Holiday," it is like
Oh
a
yeah.
life-changing song. And Mike Love's amazing. Shout out to Tina Rad who told me about Mike Love when I had never heard of them. Um, and so I actually started beatboxing because of Reaps One. Uh,
Oh nice.
Interestingly, I think my next guest next week or whenever we do it is the guy who started Beatbox TV. And I saw a Reaps One interview on Beatbox TV randomly on YouTube, and then I started Boots and Cats. So it's all connected, man.
Yes,
That is crazy, dude. Yeah,
that is
and
awesome,
man, you're
man.
really good at beatbox too. Like I think when I first saw that you were beatboxing online, I was like, oh man, this guy is really good. And I thought you were like a little better than me, but I was close. Not that it needs to be such a comparison, but then now, some time later, I'm like, dude, this fool was like, you're so good, dude. I'm happy. Like it's amazing. How how much, not just beatbox, but with like music and stuff. Like how much do you practice?
Dude, I practice every day for an indefinite amount. Sorry, I'm plugging my computer in right now. It just
No
changes
worries.
so
Thank you.
it changes so much.
Oh wait, is that famous DJ who's gonna be playing with shout out, dude. Give her a shout out.
Shout out to Trix. What's up?
Yeah.
This DJ.
I was listening to your music the other day while I was
This is
working.
Patches.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Musical family.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's pretty awesome.
That's so cool, man. All right, so you're telling me about your practice regimen, your habits.
Yeah, so every day my routine changes, but every day some practice happens.
Nice.
So lately I've been working more on enhancing the quality of the sounds that I know instead of like trying to dive into all these other new sounds.
Trung
And
Bao's really all about that.
yeah, exactly.
Shout out
And
Trung.
Audicle was telling me of the same thing. I've taken quite a few lessons with Audicle, and
Nice.
it's helped me a ton, honestly. If anybody out there is interested in beatbox lessons, you should hit up Audicle because like he knows what he's doing.
Heck yeah.
Anyway, so some days I'm super busy and I'm working, or I have shows that don't involve beatbox whatsoever. So if I'm doing that, then I'll find some time just when I'm in a monotonous place. Like if I'm at work and it's slow, I'll just like do a beat. I'll just kind of flow, and I'll just keep myself comfortable with the flow. And other times I'll do patterns, and I'll try to find a new pattern and just do it all day whenever I have time. Not
Nice.
even like I'm going to do this for 20 minutes straight. It's like I might have 5 minutes, I might have 30 seconds, whatever I have in my downtime throughout my day. I'll find a place, to just work on something. And it kind of fills in a lot of space in my life. But whenever I have like a day off, I have like an actual schedule that I'll follow.
Mm.
And if I have a day off, I'm gonna want to practice multiple instruments. I'm gonna want to practice drums, beatbox, and guitar, and maybe even pick up the acoustic and sing some. And that'll be an 8-hour day in of itself. If I'm doing drums, I'll spend like my first 30 minutes just warming up, just doing like single strokes and then double strokes and then paradiddles and like a bunch of different rudiments. And then for the next 30 minutes, I'll just warm up by getting in a flow, do some beats, kind of go off into some fills, but not get too crazy. And then I'll bust out the really intense practice and like get on double bass and just spend like 10 minutes going at a solid, rate. Like I'll do 2 mintes at 160 BPM, and then I'll do another 2 minutes at 180 BPM.
You work with a metronome?
Yes, all the time.
Nice.
That's the way to do it.
Agree.
And then with beatbox, I'll just do like a bass drum. Sound, and then same with my snare. I'll try to get the exact same sound. Yeah. And I'll just do one sound over and over for a certain amount of time, and that will help me like in my subconscious just get that muscle memory for where that sound is in my voice or in my lips or on my tongue. And then I'll start doing routines. I'll start, doing a beat or try to make a new routine or something along those lines.
That's awesome. Like how long-ish on one sound, say for example?
Probably like depending on how good it's feeling. If it's not feeling very good, I'll spend more time on it. If like for some reason I'm just not getting it, I have one sound that I still haven't even figured out how I want to use it in a beat yet. It's like
Cool.
it's a squeaky sound with my tongue, but it's so hard to get the same.
Is that tongue on the roof of the mouth or on the side?
Yep, it's on the roof,
Curled up?
kinda. It's like it's in the middle with the middle of my tongue, and that like, yeah.
Oh, dude, I haven't met any other people that do that sound yet. Not that it's that hard. I've been doing like. It just has like a cool vibe to it.
Oh, nice, like a snail. Oh,
Yeah, dude, it's like hip hoppy. It makes me like, I'm like, I want to freestyle or that.
right. That rules. And yeah, so I guess the short answer, I gave you the long answer already. The short
That's
answer is
okay.
I practice a lot.
Heck yeah, no wonder you're so good, man. What was it like when you, well, because I guess you've been playing for a while, but so let's go with maybe just beatbox. When you hadn't really performed out at beatbox, like what were your first performances like solo? Like set length? Was it an open mic? Could you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. The first performance I ever did where I beatboxed was a solo performance where it was mostly me and an acoustic guitar. And
Cool.
I had a really cheap loop station. It was this Vox looper, and it was like super old school, but it had some cool effects on it. And so I used it, and I would literally just like record a guitar loop and then record like a bass drum and a snare. So it was like, it was just like that. And it was super simple, but it was kind of the introduction. And after that, it was like 6 to 8 months that I've been like practicing on my own. And I decided that I was ready to go to an open mic and just do something. And surprisingly enough, there was a lot of people there, and they all really liked it. And there's actually a video of it on YouTube, and
Wow.
it's not the best, like it doesn't really stand up next to what I do now. I guess you could say it's not like it doesn't meet that same standard, but I
Because
keep
you
it there.
evolved.
Exactly, and that's why I keep it. That's exactly why I keep it there. On my Instagram, I've actually been like contemplating like deleting everything off my Instagram and starting fresh.
Hmm.
But I've had apprehension because I want people to see the progression.
I'd
You
vote
know?
for leave your progression.
Yeah, and like I think it's important for people to see the work that is necessary. The not so awesome shiny stuff that comes with this kind of work, because it's like a lot of people will do like 50 takes of the same video until it sounds perfect, and they will only show people the perfect one. But
Yep.
that is kind of unrealistic in my opinion. And I understand the reason why people would do that, but the
Like time and a
reality,
place.
yeah, exactly. And the reality is that we're human and we're gonna mess up. We're human, and it's really hard sometimes to nail it. And we're not always where we want to be. I'm always looking, like, no matter where I'm at, I'll be happy for myself or proud of myself for how far I've come, but I never get comfortable. I always see the next place I'm trying to go, and because of that, that's helped me to improve a whole lot. Because I'm not saying like, okay, well, I'm as good as I want to be.
Yeah.
I'm never as good as I want to be.
Yeah, I know that feeling. So how long was your first set, and did you have some stuff prepared, or did you like a freestyle, or was it like a mix of both?
um, my first set was at that open mic, and it was about 8 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have anything prepared. I had like 2 or 3 beats that I wanted to do,
Okay.
but I freestyled the whole thing and just threw those in there when it felt right.
Nice.
And yeah, and so like that was there was that, but I guess you could say that's a set, but really it was just like an open mic performance. Um, in December 2018, I did a show locally here in Little Rock, and it was like my first legit like Prana the Sound Wizard beatbox set.
Wow.
And
So you had this set like pretty much made out, and how long was that set?
that was 45 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah, and there was a lot of freestyling involved. There was I had like 3 or 4 loop station tracks that I'd done, and then in between, like I had an idea, but I wanted to just kind of feel it out. And so the few shows that I've done as a beatboxer have all been more or less freestyle with some routine involved, but not a heavy amount. And I think what it was is that people around here don't really know about beatboxing in this way. There's like only a handful of guys around Arkansas, like as a state, that I've met that like know about the scene and practice and actually want to like perform one day. But as far as everybody else goes, like most people that I know around here don't know. And so because of that, it actually just opens this door for me because I'm not I wouldn't say like a professional level, like, like you would say Napalm or Gene or, Alam or Alexina or any of those guys. Like they're like up here. And I'd say I'm still like around here, like, I'm getting there. I'm like halfway. I'm still taking those next steps. But because there aren't people at that level around here yet, that gives me the opportunity to get there and be like maybe one of the first people around here, for my peers and whatnot. And so that's super cool. That just gave me the ability to not feel so much pressure, to be the best or whatever, just be myself, and people are going to like that.
Yeah, man. And I just want to say, just to remind you that, it depends on your definition of professional, but the people you just pointed out, those are like world class. So I would just say that professional is someone who can, have good communication, show up on time, be somewhat confident, definitely practiced, regardless of skill level, just sort of like deliver the entertainment, the good vibes, just go out there and have some fun and sort of tick all those boxes. I think that the skill level required to be professional isn't really super high in the technical sense. Just it's necessary to, like I said, check all those boxes. The people you just compared yourself against are like some of the best in the world, and I think that's the trajectory you're headed. I think you're super professional.
Oh, dude, well, I appreciate that. Like, really.
Bro.
And, yeah, for real, for real. And that's the thing is like that, like you just saw it. Like that is like a glimpse into my daily like mental is like, you know, where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And those 3 things are constantly running through my head, where I want to go, and just kind of trying to visualize myself. I try to visualize myself being better than I already am and doing things I've never done, because then it kind of gives me a better idea of like being in that place. You know what I'm saying? Like kind
Mm-hmm.
of if you're there, like internally, it's a lot easier to reflect that externally.
That's deep, man. So do you like meditate, or do you like exercise and do visualizations during then? Like, what's that look like? How does that work into your daily routine or your physical routine, or open-ended question?
I don't meditate nearly as much as I should. Katie and I have been talking about wanting to implement that into our daily lives. And like literally nobody has an excuse for not meditating. Like just set some amount of time aside every single day to just sit down and be quiet.
And I
And
personally believe you could even like stretch while you do it. Some people say that that's not going to get you the full benefit. And I'm not going to say they're wrong, but I even think like if you're going to go do yoga, you could like try and do a moving meditation.
oh, dude, yeah. I mean, yoga was originally meant to be like a spiritual experience, not like not just so much an exercise or anything like that. And it's definitely connected with meditation. And I have practiced yoga in the past, but yeah, I need to get myself in an actual legit routine with meditation. As far as exercising goes, I haven't actually had much of a routine with that either, but I should. Like when I beatbox and I get really into it, that does work out your diaphragm quite a bit. And drumming does a thing with proper technique, but having a legit exercise routine makes a world of a difference
Are you familiar
because
with
you
Kinney's?
feel those things.
Oh, sorry to
Uh,
interrupt.
no, you're good.
I was just gonna say, are you familiar with Kenny Urban's exercise while beatboxing routine that he does?
No, I haven't seen that, but I've seen my friend Tanner do a lot of exercising while beatboxing.
Yeah, Kenny has this whole like class he does where you basically work out, and while you work out, you're doing like rudiments, so you're just like doing jumping jacks on like a D&B beat or something like that. You know what I mean? Like jogging in place with some other beat. It is hard, man. I went to do his class, and I think I made it through like maybe like half the class, and I was like, I'm dying, but better half than none.
That rules. I actually should look into that. Dang, that sounds awesome.
That's so
I'm sure
cool,
it
man.
makes exercising a lot more fun too.
Definitely more challenging. Like get out of breath faster.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
yeah, I've been doing this 100-day challenge. There's a great YouTube channel called Yes Theory. They're all about just saying yes, not letting fear stop you. Not just like saying yes to everything, but just the things that we're stopping ourselves from.
Yeah.
It's probably the best channel on YouTube as far as just like entertaining and uplifting. But they're doing this 100 days of sweat challenge, and I've missed 2 days, but like it's got me exercising. It's awesome. I forgot why I brought it up. Uh, okay, so let me think. So I love that you're doing these visualizations, man. That like as soon as you said that, I was just like, because I don't, I am always progressing forward, and I'm always like trying to. I have this like really formed out vision of what I want to do now. But that being said, right when you said that, like I don't sit down and like visualize myself. I forgot how you said it, like doing things I can't do yet. Like that really touched me, man. Like I want to experiment with that. All the best athletes I've heard say they do that.
Oh, definitely. Something I do. I haven't done this in a while, but one thing that got me kind of out of a slump, out of a drumming slump, and this is kind of hilarious, but it's also like it helped me a lot. I used to
Nice.
watch highlights of my favorite athletes, and I never even thought about it until about 2 years ago. I watched Space Jam.
Oh,
and,
it's been a while.
and dude, yeah, that movie like was a really impactful movie on my childhood, and I just ended up watching it for fun one day, and I thought to myself, wait a second. So like, I get on my headphones and I get on a metronome and I go sit behind the drum kit, and I set up a TV connected to Wi-Fi across from me, and I put on like a Michael Jordan highlights clip, and I was just like watching this dude completely kill it,
Yeah, dude.
balls in the court for like 10 minutes straight, just like his highlights.
Just like on
And
mute.
yeah,
Oh
exactly. And
my god.
while I was doing my thing in the flow, and dude, it
Whoa.
was awesome. Yeah, like it pulled, like I said earlier, it pulled me out of a slump
Wow.
because I was kind of feeling like I was feeling a little off with my drumming at the time. I hadn't been giving it enough attention, and I wasn't making the music that I wanted to make through that, that palette. Even though I was playing in a band, something just wasn't connecting, and and I realized it was just a personal thing, and that's a phase boarding. When I was like 12, 13, 14, I skated every day, and I had like a list of skaters that I would just like watch videos of, and I'd play Tony Hawk, and that was like my life for a little bit, and so I kind of got back in touch with that part of myself, and watched like the last few years of the X Games, skateboarding and BMX, and then just started, checking in on some new dudes. My Facebook page, anytime I'm scrolling my news feed, I see like a skate video of somebody else that I'd never heard of, and it's so awesome. Like people are doing some crazy shit these days, and just watching people, completely destroy it at what they do is inspiring to me, and it makes me want to do that. That's the way that I like to visualize myself, doing newer and better things is seeing it for myself. Watch my favorite drummer, and then imagine myself literally being that drummer, and like feeling the things that they are doing, in real time. When I first started writing music, that was something I did. I'd listen to my favorite band and I would just pretend like I wrote that song, or I made that album. And in doing that, it gave me an idea at like what it felt like to be writing that kind of material. And in return, I was able to improve my writing styles and create new ideas that I hadn't thought of before.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Do you like how many originals do you have written that you'd say are like if someone came right now and said, "Hey, we want you to record an album," like how many tracks do you have that are not like 100% finished, but just where you're like, yeah, those songs, you know? Do
Oh
you
man,
have
that
you
would be.
recorded an album?
I've never recorded a full album on my own. I've done a lot of studio work. Most of the studio work I've done has been as a session musician for other bands or other artists.
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, just this last Monday, I did this experiment where I went to the studio and I didn't have a plan at all. I didn't have a single riff or a single idea. And my friend Jeff, he set me up in his studio. He record, and I just played the drums, and like I just played how I would normally, and created like a 5.5 minute track. And then I went back in the studio, listened to it a few times, and then wrote riffs to it, and like got like over halfway through, and like almost built an entire song from scratch. It's like you give an artist some paint, some different colors, a canvas, and you say, give me a picture, give me something. That was like the concept, like a handful of songs like that I've written all the way through that would be good to just go into the studio and record and have like something, complete.
Is this like a local studio? I mean, I guess so. Like, is it a commercial studio or your buddies or what's the deal?
It's a studio my friend Jeff owns called Megalithic Studios,
Cool.
and it's mostly metal, a little bit of rock, and metal is it's pretty much my entire background as far as music goes. That's where I started, and how I came into the music scene was through metal, and I haven't felt like I've had enough of it in my life recently. So that was like my goal was, I want to write some metal again, and it's so natural for me that like I wanted to experiment with newer ways of writing, because I used to just pick up the guitar and nerd out for hours and hours and hours until I had riffs that I liked, and I wrote a song over a course of 3 weeks. But I was like, if I go in there and I just play, I'm bound to come up with something, and then I can listen to it again and again and again and just make it better. And that's what I did.
That's awesome. Do you, if you don't mind me asking, and feel free to answer as much or as little as you like, do you have to like pay hourly for that, or how's the economics of attending that studio work out?
In most studios, particular case, this guy's a really, really good friend of mine. And so we're just going to work on some stuff, and he's going to give me a number, and I'm going to pay him, whatever he deems appropriate.
So you guys have like a give and take, flexible relationship type of thing.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
awesome. That's awesome. I was just curious. And then at your place, say you're recording just for the sake of writing process, so not like a final recording. How do you do that at your place? Do you have a computer or particular software?
Yeah, I have Ableton, and Katie's actually been teaching me a lot about Ableton and rules. Like, about a year and a half ago, I had a roommate that had a studio in the house. His name's Rob, and the studio is called Horizon Studios, and he's really awesome. We used Pro Tools, and he showed me the basics on that, and I liked it a lot. I learned a lot and created some really cool stuff. But in the past few months, I've been working on Ableton, And I feel like Ableton is a lot more user friendly for what I'm trying to do, which could involve a lot more electronics and just kind of piecing things together and experimentation. I feel like Pro Tools is really good for whenever you have something solid that you want to record and like get it mixed and just do it all that way. But I feel like Ableton is better for if you have ideas and you want to create something brand new and experiment. And that's kind of the phase I'm in right now.
I love Ableton. I've used a variety of programs. I think I've used Ableton for almost 10 years, which is crazy, just amateurly. But in the last 2 years, I did do a bunch more tutorials, like read some mixing books. I think it doesn't have the highest fidelity if you're trying to go max fidelity, but I describe it as the most morphy. So I just really like what you can do with it. I have like a VST suite too from Native Instruments, but yeah, it's great. I actually just sold my keyboard, and I'm just working with the Launchpad now. So it's the grid of buttons, and when you flip it to a certain mode, it's actually a chromatic keyboard that's sort of similar to the way accordions are laid out. So that's been interesting to start like learning this other padded instrument.
Yeah. Are you using the Ableton Push or are you using?
No, I have the Novation Launchpad Pro. I think the Ableton controller is like double the price and has the
Okay.
same type of grid, but like some like digital readouts. But this is like the Pro version. It has no digital readouts, but it does completely light up. So all of the buttons like will turn
Yeah.
color and sync with the Ableton, color of the loops and stuff. It's fun, man. I haven't used it a lot. I mainly have been using the RC505. But my
Mhm.
friend just had me like teach him a lesson in Ableton, like for a weekend. And I taught him the basics, but then he wanted to learn live vocal looping, which I didn't really know. Like I knew the basics, I hadn't done it yet. So I learned how to do like pretty professional, basically what you do on the RC505, but in Ableton. And it is nuts, dude. It's like way better. It's just like a little more difficult. And I only have done it once because when we were doing it. But I mean, it was amazing. Like it was on the fly, very similar to the RC505, but just like so much more possibilities in the loops you can do, EQing things separately. You can set up pre-made slots that have all the effects chain. So your like kick snare beat can already be EQ'd on this track, like really well with like a EQ8. You like get in there and like get your EQ curves all set up,
Yeah.
and you can not have any material down, but just you can have all those tracks already set up, and then go in and you already know track one's gonna be where you're gonna hit your boots and cats, and track two is where you're gonna hit your like bass line. So I mean, it's cool. It's definitely something that I'll put more time and effort into eventually.
Dude, that's awesome. I was talking to my buddy Blake, who's a phenomenal musician. His name's Blake Goodwin. He owns Fret Monkey Records, which
Say it
is
again.
a
Say it again.
very well known Fret Monkey Records.
Mm.
And it's a very well known percussive acoustic focused record label. And I mean, he's won like multiple national competitions. And
Wow.
recently he put a solo album. It was like a progressive metal instrumental album, and he did everything on Ableton. I was talking to him about a new live setup because I want to start playing more guitar, and I want to involve beatboxing as like a large part of the focus of it, but make it more of like a full sound thing instead of just like live looping on my RC505. And he was telling me that I should go for Ableton Live and do looping that way.
I
And
100% agree.
yeah, that's I'm gonna start working on that for sure. I'm really not sure where to start.
Yeah,
But
it starts with one of these. So this guy's 300 for the Pro. I think they have a $70 version and like a $150 version, and then of course the Push is awesome, but I think it's more like 600 to 1,000. But
yeah,
this one is so good. So I highly recommend this. I actually got mine used for 150, and it was like new. So this is the Launchpad Pro, and then if you do any
yeah,
other ones, I think they have like a version 2. Not sponsored, by the way. Maybe one day we'll be sponsored by Novation. No free brand deals. But I mean, honestly, I do highly
Right.
recommend it. It's legit. And even though it doesn't have any knobs or sliders, you hit like a mode. So like hit like volume. And then this is the volume, right? So this would be max volume, minimum volume. And then check this out. The harder you hit it, the faster it portamentos up to it. So if I like tap it super lightly, it's gonna slowly fade up to max. If I hit it really hard, it's gonna go boop, and everything in between. So it's pretty cool, like operating knobs and sliders with buttons. It's taken some getting used to, but I can tell that once I'm like super high level at it, I mean, you could pretty much do anything with with push or with any of these pad controllers.
That is awesome.
It's
Yeah. So
crazy.
can you trigger EQs on the launch pad, or is it like
It does have effects stuff, but pretty much you'd be using the mouse as well, or have sort of preset it up, like I said, and then it does have effects controls. So you wouldn't be like adjusting an EQ curve with it, but you could throw like an EQ3 and control an EQ3, or you could preset up your EQ8 curve and then adjust it with that. So it's has a couple limitations where the push I think is going to have a little more control. But for the price, like I said, like 180 used ish, like it is nuts.
yeah, super cool, dude.
Well, let's see what else, man. So what are your thoughts about your future as far as your career in music and what you want to do? I know there's like a band way and like a solo way. So you could talk about either or both or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Well, Katie and I are getting ready to move to Fayetteville, Arkansas, which is it's a really sweet spot. We've all been here in Little Rock for a long time. Me and the rest of my bandmates in Deep Sequence are all going to be relocating up there because it's just a way cooler spot. First off, there's tons more opportunities for all kinds of things, and all of us have endeavors that we do outside of the band artistically. Our keyboard player is a producer that goes by the name of Flintwick. He does like some really cool psychedelic, bass-driven music.
Ooh,
And Jackson has a project called Groove Cluster, and it's more of like an experimental electronic thing. And John has been doing some lessons, and this thing called Musical Connection, where he has a bunch of different friends that are musicians come up and do like interactive pieces with him throughout like this event. And Fayetteville has been deemed the best move for us as far as financial things go, because it's not too far away yet, but it's still closer to other areas that we have a fan base in.
nice.
And we also just want something new. So I definitely foresee Deep Sequence being, at the top. Like, we've been just gigging so much, and in just a couple more weeks, we're doing another festival. Then we're going to Houston, Texas, or Austin, I think. And then the next month we're doing Houston again, and then Dallas. And we're just kind of getting out there as much as possible, building our reputation. And I've actually been taking a bit of a break from beatboxing as far as performing goes. I still practice and do my thing, but I've just, I feel like I've been expecting too much of myself for certain things. And because of that, it's caused me to become a little less inspired. And so I want to get that, like, I had to just kind of reevaluate the reason why I was doing these things. And when it stops being fun and enjoyable, I feel like that's the time, to take fresh and newly inspired whenever you're back to like, okay, this is fun again. Like,
Yeah, it all happens in cycles, like you said.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
And
okay.
so yeah, Deep Sequence just dropped that video that you saw. The
You guys
live
were
video.
so tight, dude. It was locked in.
Dude, thank you.
Thank you.
And
It's amazing.
thank you a
Oh, your
lot.
video's freezing up. I hear you. It's gonna come back.
And that's some of our other things. We do have. Oh, okay. Yeah, yours froze up on me too. Weird. That song is a little more technical. That one was actually composed all the way through. Most of our songs we jam. Like
Have some
we'll have a
improv.
point in the song. Yeah, we'll have a point in the song where we don't have a plan. We do a key, like we pick a key or maybe a chord progression, and we just jam for
Tits.
X amount of time, and we come out of the jam back into the other part of the song and then finish the song out, or maybe go into another jam. And you'll see that in the next video that we release. It's going to be for a track that's on our old EP. You can find all of our music on Spotify and iTunes, Amazon, and everything. And
Nice.
So the video that we're going to release in a few weeks is going to be an older song, and there's going to be like a huge jam. It's like we didn't write any of the music like we wrote all the music in the song, but at a certain point we hit this open jam where we just start freestyling.
Yeah.
And it was super cool. It was a lot of fun. Like that's just something that we do, and that's how we're able to play like 4-hour sets of original material. And
That's so cool. How many pieces is the band? How many members?
4.
Dang, it felt like more.
Well, Brady, he has like 4 keyboards, and he has a chaos pad and like another sample pad. And I've got a sample pad next to my drum kit, and I set my looper up because I've been doing beatboxing as part of our sets. We'll hit a point and like the drums will kind of fade out, and then I'll throw on my EQ and my dynamic setting, and it like brings the most out of my vocals. And
Oh, you do the double EQ and dynamic. Nice. I haven't tried that yet.
That's it. I mean, it sounds perfect. Like one or the other, like didn't really do it for me. But I'll go to the dynamic and I go to the live compressor, and like my highs at like 7 or 8, and my mids are kind of like a little lower.
Yeah.
High mid is more at like 7, and then my low mid is actually at like -4.
Crazy.
But yeah, the sound quality is just like it matches.
Nice.
And so we played main stage at Backwoods last weekend, or the weekend before. Yeah, the weekend before last. Yeah, and it was big experience for us. I mean, the stage was huge, and the sound was like my favorite. I've never heard a sound so massive and clear before. And I beatboxed and that set, and I could tell that people in the crowd were just loving it.
Yes.
And there was even a moment in the jam where like I did like a fill that I'd never done before, and while I was in the middle of doing it, in my head I was like, I cannot believe I'm pulling this off right now.
Flow state hard.
It was just in the jam, and like 100%, like no thought, it was pure intention, and that was it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that show was huge for us. More festivals, more out-of-state shows, and hopefully by this time next year we will have our first like 3 to 4 week tour booked, and by this time in 2 years I anticipate we'll be a full-time touring band.
That's amazing. Yeah, just from what I witnessed, you guys were ready to go anywhere. I can't imagine a single place in the world that you guys couldn't have performed with the skill level that I saw at that moment. It was great. That's so cool, man. Oh, can you hear me? Test,
wow,
check.
Thank you so much.
Check, test.
Yeah,
cool.
I can. You did
good.
cut out for a second.
But you caught the message?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Good.
I did.
Dude, that's legit, man. I'm really stoked. Like, I feel really inspired to perform more. It's been something I've been thinking about, and I've been practicing every day. Same thing. Well, not the same thing, actually. Not so regimented, but definitely every day I'm beatboxing. I have a metronome app I've been using. But this is really inspiring, man. Like, I'm so happy for you. I have a tough question. Feel free to not answer it, or to answer it as you want. It just popped into my head. And I think it's relevant because, life can be challenging. What would you say and like I said, answer this however you want to. What would you say is your personal like biggest challenge that's standing in the way of this success? That's from yourself, not from some outside influence.
Not from some outside influences like
Yeah.
money or anything like that.
There's a lot
Uh,
of outside in, but yeah, but your own like, what is your biggest hurdle that you're trying to overcome in yourself? Or maybe you have already, or maybe you haven't yet, or open ended.
you know, a couple of weeks ago, I would have given you a completely different answer than what I'm about to,
Ooh.
but it all comes back to the same thing. I've known about this book specifically for a while, but Katie actually downloaded this the ebook of this thing called The War of Art, and
Well,
it's a really cool book that just like basically tackles the the challenges that we go through as artists and creating original content, and it has a lot to do with self-doubt and motivation, and
yes.
resistance is the main topic that is like brought up over and over and over again. And I would say that that is 100% my biggest challenge is resistance, resisting the like the the necessity that comes with creating material, content, and doing it, like rehearsing material by yourself, creating something that is yours, on your own without having to rely on somebody else or any other kind of external factors. It can be sometimes super hard for me. Like even if I do have a day off, like I was just saying, like I practice a lot and I do, but sometimes I just don't feel like it.
Mm.
Sometimes I just want to chill and take a break, but it's not always the best time to take a break. I may not have another chance to practice or to write something for a while. So yeah, I would say resistance is the number one challenge that I've faced, and it's been that way for quite a while now. Um, External things are one thing, not having the time or not having the money to
Mm.
invest in the equipment. And those have been things that have stood in my way. But like since I started beatboxing, I really have no excuse.
That's one thing I love about beatboxing. You can just do
I
it.
don't need all I need is exactly. You don't need a stage, you don't need a microphone, you don't need an amp, anything except for a voice and a set of lips and a tongue.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
And
feel you.
so,
That's probably my biggest challenge too. Is and I notice too. Do you notice this? Like that once you start doing it, like it's great. You're like, this is awesome.
yep.
Um, and then conversely, and Qigong talks about this. Like sometimes you do have to take a break and do nothing. So it's definitely all about balance. Um,
Mhm.
that was a good answer,
Definitely.
man, and a
Balance is
great
so.
book suggestion too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Looking at that book, I'm actually going to start reading it. She was just like showing me a couple of excerpts when I was at work yesterday. And I was like, wow, just like hit the nail on the head. And something else that I've been facing a lot of over the past couple of years is staying focused, like in the moment. It's really easy to just space out. Like, I was diagnosed with ADD at a very young age, ADHD, and I was medicated for it immediately, like when I was 5 years old.
Wow.
And so, because of that, I really believe that it hindered my ability to naturally uh, develop my own way of doing things because I was like taking performance and headache enhancing medication without knowing it.
Mm.
And like I was on it for a really long time and didn't get off of it until high school. Ironically enough, a lot of people don't start taking that kind of medication until high school, but they took me off of it.
Mm.
And so like I've always had this issue since I was old enough to realize it, that sometimes when I'm in the moment, like I won't be focused and moments will just pass by and I will be like completely dissociated from where I was at and be somewhere else entirely in my head. And because of that, it has created issues in the past where like I was in practice or I was writing something and I do something really, really cool. but I wasn't actually paying attention to what I was doing.
Mm.
And so there it went, it was gone, and I couldn't remember for the life of me what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's also another struggle that I faced as a musician and an artist, is staying focused and paying attention to like the things that I'm doing and the details that I'm creating so that I can recreate them.
Do you ever record your practice sessions in like a low quality just so you can record a lot of space?
Definitely. Definitely just hit record on my phone and forget that it's there, or like sometimes I'll get on Ableton and I'll run my loop station through and I'll just be beatboxing solo and I'll just hit record and I'll do everything I can to forget that I'm recording, because
Nice.
when you know that you're recording, it's in the back of your mind. Don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up. Get it
Yeah,
right,
it
get it
can be
right.
distracting.
It really can. I mean, that's been, it's so funny. Like, I've actually like done really, really cool things in that moment, but I'm supposed to record the moment that you're creating, not like create the moment that you're recording.
I've never heard that stated before, but I totally agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just made that up.
Nice, dude. Invention shown.
But yeah, that's how I feel about it. And so if you can like, there's a whole art to recording,
Yeah.
and I feel like when you're creating art, and especially as a musician, sound is, our basis of our art, but the sound triggers a feeling. It changes the way you see things with your eyes. It changes the way you hear things with your ears, and it changes the way you feel things emotionally as well as physically, like in your body. And if you want, your music to convey a certain message, you have to feel those things physically, emotionally. You have to see those things like in that moment. And if you're not doing that, then I don't feel like your message is going to come through the way that you may be hoping. And
Mm-hmm.
that is an ongoing battle that I've been facing,
Yeah,
because
you have to
there have
like
been times.
live it.
One time I was hiking a mountain, and yeah, exactly. You have to live it. And like I was just saying, like I was hiking this mountain, I was playing my acoustic, and it was like such a journey. The hike was not intense. Like it was just like an uphill walk, all the way to the top of this mountain. And so I'm playing guitar and I'm just feeling it, and I was just like, I just wrote a whole album, right there, just like from that 30-minute hike. And it felt amazing. And like just finally got to the top of the mountain, and I was just looking out at the Arkansas River right next to Lake Maumelle, and it was the most
Wow.
beautiful thing. And I just strummed this last chord, and it was just like the perfect, just like I just ended this trek of the journey, and I thought to myself, that is it, If I could get right back in that state and record exactly what I just did, then that would have been magical. And I feel like anybody would have been able to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't recording myself, of course. Like I was
Yeah,
just saying,
that's all
like
right.
I did so many really, really cool things. Yeah, I mean, for sure, for sure. It's just part of the process,
Yeah, and
and
sometimes
it's
you
part of.
gotta have those where it was literally perfect and we didn't record it. And then
Mhm.
sometimes you gotta record it and it wasn't what you wanted to record. I think that's what makes it so special when you do. Like when the guy was like, "Oh, I was actually standing next to you the whole time and I recorded the whole thing." You're like, "What?" I mean, it makes it that much so special. That actually is perfect for the last question that I had thought of was, so as a musician, we're basically storytellers. Like even if we're not going to use words, like you said, we create these feelings, and then a lot of music does use words. So have you ever thought about like the possibilities and or responsibility the possibilities of being a storyteller, and like what stories you might like to tell in your lifetime? Have you ever touched on that or thought about that?
I actually have, yeah. A lot of my favorite artists use storytelling as the basis of what they do. There's a hip hop artist named Yellow Wolf,
Oh, I'm
and
not familiar.
every dude,
I'm gonna look up every reference that you made this
incredible,
podcast.
honestly. Like I feel like you should. I think like every song that he writes tells a story. Like you can see it. Like the way he uses detail and metaphors and stuff like that is really really cool. And Nako in Medicine for the People, he tells stories like crazy. He told his whole life story in an album, and yeah, storytelling is super cool to me. It's super fascinating, and it's something that I feel like I have a knack for, but I haven't dove into in nearly as much a way as some of the people that I look up to have.
Yet.
But yeah, exactly. And but yeah, to answer your question, absolutely.
Yeah, I think with with such a talent that not to be so like serious as to say something like, oh, with great power comes great responsibility. That's like a little too serious. Uh, but something along that lines, like with great ability comes great capacity or comes great possibility type of thing.
Definitely.
Like for the examples you just gave, like Mike Love, Nako, uh, you know, I really like Rising Appalachia. There's a lot of really good examples. Like I said, I'm going to look up every musician you suggested that I haven't heard of yet. I mean, it's like life-changing stuff. Some of it helps me get through a moment or like a tough time. Some of it like keeps me like pumped up and activated and catalyzed. And some of it legit changed the way I look at the world and makes me like make better choices in my life. It's so powerful, and I think there's the opposite side. I think there's music that makes people make worse choices in their life. So it's really, that was the basis of my question.
Definitely.
Everything you've said, and even on the first phone call we had, it's just so inspiring. I can tell that you're like feeling it, that you're like going for it, and I feel like your heart's in the right place, and I feel like the universe is like surrounding and like reorganizing to make it work. So that was why I said that.
Definitely. And I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is what your intention is. And if you don't have an intention, it's going to show. And it's just going to be like this thing that exists for no reason.
Or someone will come and have an intention for you. Or that could also
exactly.
happen.
Somebody will give you an intention that you didn't want, maybe, and it could become something that you don't like anymore. I feel like there are certain things that's intention is to not make sense or to be like rhetorical, like Eric Andre. He's one of my favorite comedians, and his entire show makes zero sense whatsoever. And he just says and does the most ridiculous things solely for the purpose of that.
But it feels good.
It's not because like there's no, yeah, exactly. There's no like deep, like hidden metaphor going on or anything like that. It's literally just, this is ridiculous. Here, enjoy. But if you are intending positive things, or you put that intention into what you're creating, people who are paying attention, or maybe people who aren't even paying attention, they will receive that. It will be received in one way or another. And so I just feel like it's important to try your best to do good things on purpose.
Yeah, my dude. Man, I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you want to touch on? I feel like that was the best bow that you could ever put on it,
Yeah, man, I feel like I've covered pretty much everything that I can, at least for now.
Dude, it was perfect, bro. Oh man. So where can everyone find you? I'm linking in the description, but give any shout outs you want to give. Go right ahead.
All right. Look up Deep Sequence on Facebook, YouTube, on Instagram. It's Deep Sequence Official. My personal Instagram is prana.tsw for the Sound Wizard.
Nice.
And on Facebook, you can look for Prana the Sound Wizard, and you'll be able to keep up with my works as a solo artist there. Lately, it's been focused on beatboxing, but it's gonna be like literally that's my moniker for myself as an artist. So you'll see stuff of me like playing drums, like covers maybe on YouTube. maybe metal projects, maybe just anything that I'm doing, in my personal time is going to be under that moniker. And there will be like some sub monikers, for that as well in the future.
Yeah,
But that's just like it's pretty new.
that's
But yeah,
awesome.
those are the two best places to find me. Look up Abandon the Artifice on Facebook. That's a death metal band that I play drums for and have for quite a long time. We're going to be putting out an EP probably by the closer to the end of the year, and it's going to have some really cool stuff you don't want to miss on
That's awesome, man.
it.
I'll make sure to throw all those links in there too, because I just have the one right now.
Definitely. Other than that, huge shout out Trix. She's an amazing DJ and producer, and she's doing some really cool stuff. She's got a show in Tulsa, Oklahoma that we're going to be going to this weekend. It's got a apostrophe and then it's TRIXX on SoundCloud. She just dropped a track like last week. It's really awesome. You don't want to miss out on that.
Nice.
Look her up on SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, Trix the Chick. And other than that, yeah, that's all I got.
Dude, thank you so much. This was literally like the best first podcast I could ever ask for. I'm really impressed with all your answers and your ability of communication, and I'm really inspired and impressed by the direction you're going on. Man, I hope you keep it up, and I just wish you the best of luck.
Dude, thank you so much, man. Same to you. This is a lot of fun, and I feel like for a first podcast, this went super smoothly.
Yeah.
So, cheers to you, and the best of luck to the future. I'll be staying in tune for sure.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, don't hang up yet, but I'm going to sign us off. That's Patchcast number 1. Thanks for watching. Take it easy, y'all.